right, good morning to everyone. We want to start out our press availability just first of all thinking about Eunice Shriver, who passed away recently. So we want to make sure our condolences go out to the First Lady, Maria Shriver, and the Governor and the entire Kennedy family. As you know, Maria's mother, Eunice, was a tireless advocate for mental and physically disabled young people in particular. She was a pioneer in her own right. There's a deep legacy in the Kennedy family. She founded the Special Olympics in 1968 and has been an advocate for young people and health issues for her whole life. So we want to make sure that we're thinking about her and the family for this time of year. Another item we want to do a little bit differently today is talk about regional transit. Public transportation is so important in our community, and they provide vital transportation services in the city of Sacramento, and we're all talking about our carbon footprint and how we get through the challenged economy and the role that public transportation plays. I think you know there's been an elimination of the state transit assistance funds. There's been a decline in local and state tax revenue, and the RT has been faced with some serious reductions in terms of service and also raising fees. And today I wanted to invite out the General Manager and CEO of Regional Transit, Mike Wiley, to share a little bit. We have Vice Mayor Lauren Hammond here, who's on the Regional Transit Board, and we hope to be joined by Councilmember Steve Cohn, who's also on the RT Board. He chairs it this year. So as we think about how we make sure that we do not reduce our services, Mike, we wanted you and Lauren to be able to address the press real quick on that. So Mike.
Thank you, Mayor. A lot of you have recently reported that RT has been seriously considering service reductions. In fact, this past month, on July 27th, we held a very contentious public hearing, received a tremendous level of public input regarding potential service cuts, and in particular, the media was right in reporting that we were seriously considering reducing our rail service and trimming service back to 9 p.m. I'm pleased to report that at our board meeting last night, I reported to the board that once again we were able to solve our financial difficulties and identify sufficient reductions in costs in other areas, as well as additional revenue to completely bridge the budget funding gap that we had just reported to our board last month. We were faced with up to a $3.5 million deficit because of the continued work of the RT staff and support of the RT board. We've been able to identify 100% of that of that cost and avoid completely any further service cuts. So we will be going to our board on the 24th of this month and asking our board to adopt a further budget amendment that will completely avoid any further service cuts that we had previously discussed. And this is just another step in the process that RT has been engaged in assuring that the highest level of service is maintained in the face of severe economic difficulties with reduced sales tax and the complete elimination of the state transit assistance account. As the mayor indicated, we've lost over $26 million a year in support from the state and another $24 million in sales tax. Combined, over 33% of our budget has disappeared, and we've been able to maintain our services in the face of that through creative funding efforts and cost-saving measures.
Thanks, Vice Mayor.
Well, let me see. What is there left to say? I want to personally thank the General Manager of Regional Transit, Mike Wiley. He, from the ground up, has been with RT his whole adult life. Almost, right? From the beginning. So making him the CEO was important. Also because he's got that background, he was able to find the savings that we needed. When he characterized the July 27th meeting as contentious, that was an understatement. You have the poor, the disabled, those folks that don't have any extra money in this economy. We're their only way of getting to and from their appointments with the doctor, going to work, and the idea of reducing light rail and bus service to no longer run after 10 or before, was it 8 a.m.?
Right.
Something like that. people would have lost their jobs. Then they would have been homeless. So it was essential that RT staff find a way to gap to find funding for that gap, and they did creatively. Just like the city's treasurer found a way to make lemonade out of the lemons from the IOUs, Mike Wiley and Regional Transit and the board have found a way to get rid of those cuts so that we can continue to provide the service that the people in Sacramento deserve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so if you guys have any questions on RT, we want to knock them out right now. I know there's a million more things to do.
Did you guys use some of the stimulus funds